morning, everybody. That was a false start because that wasn't the tune I was waiting for. I'm just putting some music on before we begin. Let's see if I can find the one I'm wanting this time. Like it.
Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, my Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. The people keep a coming and the train don't go. What did she name him? Yes, Lord. What did she name him? Yes, my Lord. What did she name him? Yes, Lord. The people keep a coming and the train don't go. Named him Jesus, yes, Lord. Named him Jesus, yes, my Lord. Named him Jesus, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't go. Where was he born? Yes, Lord. Where was he born? Yes, my Lord. Where was he born? Yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't go. Born in a stable, yes, Lord. Born in a stable, yes, my Lord. Born in a stable, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't go. Where did she lay him? Yes, Lord. Where did she lay him? Yes, my Lord. Where did she lay him? Yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't go. Laid him in a manger, yes, Lord. Laid him in a manger, yes, my Lord. Laid him in a manger, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't go. Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, my Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming, the people keep on coming, the people keep on coming, and the train done, gone. Shh.
Oh, that's very close up. Good morning, everybody. Hang on a minute. Oh, close up and a little bit wobbly. There we go. Good morning. Welcome to Little Shipmates. Oh, those candles are bright on the screen. I hadn't realised quite how bright they were. My name's Andrea. This is the St Simon's. It's not Little Shipmates at all, is it? This is proper Sunday Shipmates. This is our Shipmates Sunday. And the bright, glowing candles that I can see on the screen there are nativity. No, they're not. They're our Advent candles. And I've lit 1, 2, 3 today. And if you're watching later on the main St Simon's service, you'll see us light our Advent wreath, because today is the 3rd Sunday of Advent. It's the 3rd Sunday of Advent. It's the 13th day on the Advent calendar. And over here, can you see all the way over here? It tells me there's only 12 days till Christmas. Advent, our time of waiting and our time of preparing. And we are waiting for something big, aren't we? We're waiting for Jesus. We're always waiting for Jesus. And to be fair, Jesus is here in our hearts. But this is when we're thinking about waiting for the Christmas story. I've got my stable set up for the Christmas story too. I think I might move these candles a little bit because, let's put that one over there. They certainly seem to be very, very bright and light in the darkness. So, you're very welcome here today. If you're watching on the television and you want to join in with us and put any comments, you might have to do that through a phone or a laptop. If you're watching on a phone or a laptop and you would like to join in and comment and say hello and let me know you're here, that would be wonderful. Now, I was thinking about, what do I normally do in December? What should I be doing at Shipmates today? And it occurred to me, we don't normally have a Shipmates like this in December because normally we are so busy rehearsing for our nativity, aren't we? We disappear upstairs, we leave all the grown-ups downstairs, and we practice and we practice, and we do lots of singing and dancing and acting. Well, I was really busy yesterday, and I know a lot of you have been so busy because you've been sending me some clips for the Nativity. And next week, on the 20th, it's going to be our Nativity service. And you won't have to be in church. It will be on YouTube as well, 10:30. And we have our film of the Nativity. And let me tell you, it is going to be brilliant. You lot have worked so hard. I am so impressed. You've sent me some brilliant little clips and films, and they're going to go together and they're going to tell our story, which this year is called Christmas. It's all part of God's plan. And it's a big plan, isn't it? Morning, Emily. Morning, Matthew. I was looking at your clips last night, doing a bit of editing on those. They were really great. Thank you. Shall we start with some worship? Because we're waiting for something so big, and God's plan is so big. I thought we'd start this morning with Bigger Than Big. So get ready for some shouting, because it's the one where we have to be louder than this song. Ooh, and it's all just disappeared. I say this every week, don't I? You'd think I'd get a better system by now. Here it comes. God, He made the big blue sky. Ooh, you can't see me today.
God, you made our big blue sky. You made the oceans deep and wide. God, you made the trees so tall. And your love is bigger than it all. God, you're bigger than big. You're stronger than strong. You are mightier than mighty.
And louder than this song.
Your love for me stretches farther than far. I can't imagine just how big you are. Just how big you are.
Are you being big? I'm so big, I'm stretching out of the sides of the screen. You're stretching a big space at home.
God, you made our big blue sky. You made the oceans deep and wide. God, you made the trees so tall. And your love is bigger than it all. God, you're bigger than big. You're stronger than strong. You are mightier than mighty.
And louder than this song.
And your love for me stretches farther than far. I can't imagine just how big you are. Just how big you are.
Can you imagine all the big things God has done? All the wonderful things in the world.
You're stronger than strong. You are mightier than mighty.
And louder than this song.
Your love for me stretches farther than far. I can't imagine just how big you are. Just how big you are. Oh, I can't imagine just how big you are. Just how big you are.
Oh, well done. We haven't done that one for a little while. And I thought we'd have another one that we haven't done for a little while this morning. And it's Every Move I Make, because we have been making a lot of moves. We have been doing a lot of things, those of us doing the Nativity. And I'm sure those of you who are not doing our Nativity have been doing a lot of things, getting ready and preparing for Christmas and preparing to celebrate God's birth. And it's that one with the annoying earworm where they sing na 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 na. Did you sing back? I hope you did. I hope you join in with the song anyway. Ooh. Here it comes. Three, two, one. I don't really sign to them, I've remembered. So have a bit of a breathy, have a dance, make some moves. I know some of you have got some great moves out there. Hopefully we'll be back in church and I can see them again soon. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Every move I make, I'm making you. You make me move, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Every step I take, I'm taking you. You are my way, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Singing na 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 na
Na na na na na na. Na 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 na.
Every move I make, I'm making you. You make me move, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Yeah. Every step I take, I'm taking you. You are my way, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Yeah. The waves of mercy, waves of grace, everywhere I look, I see your face. Your love has captured me. Oh my God, this life I can't be.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Are you jumping?
I'm making you. You make me move, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Every step I take in you. You are my way, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Waves of mercy, waves of grace, everywhere I look, I see your face. Your love has captured me. Oh my God, this life I can't be.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh, well done. Have you got energy, time, space for another song? Is the one we were playing at the beginning. And this one has got lots of signs. And I've been doing it for the last few weeks with little shipmates, and I keep forgetting them, and I keep getting them all in the wrong order, which doesn't really help me much. So let's see if I can remember. It's the one that was playing as you were coming in, and it's Mary had a baby. When we say, yes, Lord. And then what did she name him? Yes, my Lord. She named him Jesus. Yes, Lord. Where was he born? He was born in one of these, in a stable, and we draw the shape of the stable. Where did she lay him? She laid him in a manger. I quite like that sign. Can you make a manger with your hands? There you go, a manger. She laid him in the manger. Yes, Lord. And then I think we go back to Mary had a baby again. So let's see who can remember that. And join in with some signing and some singing, hopefully. And we're just going to clap for the chorus because it's probably simpler.
Mary had a baby.
Yes, Lord.
Mary had a baby.
Yes, my Lord.
Mary had a baby.
Yes, Lord.
The people keep a coming and the train don't come. What did she name him?
Yes, Lord. What did you name him? Yes, my Lord.
What did she name him? Yes, Lord. The people keep a coming and the train don't come. Yes, Lord. Named him Jesus. Yes, my Lord. Named him Jesus. Yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the chains don't come. Where was he born? Yes, Lord. Where was he born? Yes, my Lord. Where was he born? Yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the chains don't come.
That's the one I always forget.
Born in a stable, yes, Lord. Born in a stable, yes, my Lord. Born in a stable, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't come. Where did you lay him? Yes, Lord. Where did you lay him? Yes, my Lord. Where did you lay him? Yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't come. Laid him in a manger, yes, Lord. Laid him in a manger, yes, my Lord. Laid him in a manger, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming and the train don't come. Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, my Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. The people keep on coming, the people keep on coming, the people keep on coming and the train don't come.
Ah, well done, everybody. Did you keep up with the signing? I only got it in the wrong order once, I think. Okay, so I've got my nativity service here, and we've been practicing. I have been watching and watching and watching the nativity over the last few days. I've been watching you all so many times, and I'm still loving it. Now, but I think we all know the story, how the angel told Mary that she was going to have a baby, and she would call him. If you're on the comments, put it in the comments. What would she call him? She would call him Jesus. But at the beginning of Luke's gospel, he doesn't start with the angel telling Mary he's going to have a baby. He starts with a man called Zachariah. And Zachariah was married to Elizabeth, who have disappeared. Where's my Zachariah and Elizabeth? Oh, well, you'll have to imagine Zachariah and Elizabeth. And although Mary was very young, Elizabeth, Mary's cousin, was pretty old, too old to have a baby. Does that sound familiar? Can you remember a story we talked about a little while ago with a lady who was far too old to have a baby? And we talked about it because we've been talking a lot about the ancestors of Jesus, haven't we? But our story today is part of Jesus's family tree, but not one of his ancestors. This is somebody that was born just before him. And Mary's cousin Elizabeth had the baby, and her husband, Zachariah, was visited by an angel, just like Mary. I found a nice picture in this Bible. I'm rather liking this Bible. It's quite an old one that Ellie gave me. Can you see? It says, there was, in the times of Herod, the king of Judea, a priest named Zacharias, and his wife Elizabeth. They were both righteous before God, keeping the commandments of the Lord. But they had no children, and they were both well advanced in years. Now, when it was Zacharias' turn to serve in the temple, he went into the temple to burn incense, where the whole multitude of people prayed outside. And an angel of the Lord appeared to him at the right side of the altar. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled with fear and fell on his knees. But the angel said to him, do not be afraid. I've been hearing angels say that in the Nativity this week. Do not be afraid, for your prayer is heard. Your wife will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. You shall have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth, for he shall be great in the sight of the Lord. He shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. He shall be filled with the Holy Spirit, and he shall turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. Excuse me. Sorry, shall I carry on? He shall go before him in spirit and the power of Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, and make ready a people prepared for the Lord. So he's going to have a baby. His baby's going to be called John, and he is going to prepare the people for the Lord. How am I to know this is to be, said Zacharias to the angel, for I'm an old man, and my wife's old too. The angel answered him, saying, I am Gabriel, and I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and tell you these great things. I don't think Zacharias believed the angel. You should always believe angels. And behold, you shall be dumb and unable to speak until these things come about, because you did not believe my words. The people waited outside, wondered why Zacharias was in the temple for so long. When he came out, he couldn't speak to them. But they sensed he had had a vision in the temple, for he made signs to them and remained speechless. And when the time of service was complete, he returned home. And before long, his wife, Elizabeth, found out she was going to have a baby. So the angel appeared. She gave the message. Zacharias didn't believe. And because he didn't believe, he couldn't speak until the baby was born. Right, at home, pretend you can't speak. Pretend you've just seen the angel. Can you, without speaking, and at the moment without writing anything down, can you tell the people in your house? Can you do a mime or a sign about what has been said? See if you can have a go. Got 1 minute to tell the people what's happened. You might like to use the sign for angel, because I rather like it. This is the sign for angel. Nice, isn't it? Okay, off you go. Pretend you're Zacharias. Don't say a word. Later, he started writing things down. But at first, he just had to show people what happened. How are you doing? Are you doing better than me? Can people tell what you're saying? It was an amazing thing to happen, wasn't it? And even more amazing than that, hundreds of years ago, 400 years ago, it had been prophesied. The prophets had said, before the angels appeared to Zacharias or to Mary, that somebody powerful, somebody important would be coming. Somebody would be coming to get the people ready. And that was John. And if you watch our nativity next week, you'll be able to see Elizabeth, who has a baby in her tummy, has a visit from Mary. And as soon as Mary came close, the baby in Elizabeth's tummy jumped for joy, because even before he was born, John recognized the power of Jesus. And John had an odd life. To start off with, before he started talking about God and preparing the way for Jesus, he went into the wilderness and he lived in the wilderness. Jesus went into the wilderness too, didn't he, before he started preaching? I think John was there for longer. He lived in the wilderness. Very simply. What do you think he ate in the wilderness? There weren't any shops. There weren't any drive-thrus or takeaways. What do you think he might have eaten while he was living in the wilderness for all those years? Where do you think he slept? Just on the ground with a rock for the pillow. We heard a story about somebody else who slept with a rock for the pillow, didn't we? We're touching on lots of stories today. Sarah, who was too old to have a baby, and who went to sleep with his head on a rock for the pillow and dreamt about the ladder going up to heaven. Well, John slept with his rock, with his head on the ground. He may have had a rock for a pillow. I don't think the Bible tells us. It does tell us what he ate. It says he ate honey from the wild bees, and it says he ate locusts, which are like little creepy crawly grasshoppers. Sometimes you see people doing that on television these days, having to eat random things like that, don't you? I don't think I'd like to eat them all the time, though. But John lived very simply, very prayerfully, until he came to talk to people about God and about Jesus. And Jesus was his cousin. So John would have known from a very young age about Jesus and about Mary and the visits from the angels, and his own mother and father and the visit from their angel. So he would know what was happening. He would know this was pretty special. I don't know much about when Jesus was young. The only story we have in the Bible is when he visited the temple when he was 12 and his parents lost him and he stayed. And he said, "I'm in my father's house." But what else do you think might have happened when Jesus was young? Have a chat. Tell somebody now what you think Jesus was like when he was a child. What do you think he did when he was your age? Tell the grown-ups around you what you think he was like. If you want to put it into the comments, you can put it into the comments too. Not when he was a tiny baby, lying in a manger, but when he grew up, when he was 5. Excuse me, when he was 7, when he was a teenager, when he was a young adult. Because most of the stories in the Bible don't start till he was about 30. And it's about that age as well. Excuse me. I don't think I've got anything dodgy. I've just got a tickle this morning. I'm sorry. About that same age is when John came out of the wilderness. And he still was a little bit odd. He wore clothes made out of the hair of camels. Very itchy and scratchy. He still ate locusts and honey. And he told everybody that the Lord was coming and he was preparing the way for the Lord. And he started baptizing them, didn't he, in the river, putting them into the river and washing away their sins with water. And he told everybody how great God was and how the Messiah, the chosen one, was coming. Lots of people thought that maybe John was the chosen one. But John said no. John said, "I am not even worthy to tie the straps on his sandals to touch his feet. I would be lucky to be allowed to touch the Messiah's feet." Do you like feet? Some people don't like feet. Have a think about what feet would have been like in Jesus and John's day. They wore open sandals. They walked on dusty roads. There was lots of donkey poo and camel poo. They were probably quite hot and smelly and yucky. But John said he would be grateful to be allowed to touch Jesus' feet. And there's another story about feet. Just before the crucifixion and the Last Supper, Jesus got down on his hands and knees and he washed his disciples' feet too, to show how much he loved them. There's a lot of overlap in this story. There's a long plan that goes all the way through our Bible. So, I'm not going to ask you to wash feet now. Maybe later you can wash somebody's feet. Or perhaps tie up their shoes for them. Could you do that? The next time you're going out, say, "Let me help you. Let me put on your shoes." Perhaps you could put on each other's shoes. You could sit down. Oh, these are filthy shoes. Look how big Jake's shoes are, and fairly filthy as well. But could you help someone to put their shoes on and to tie their shoelaces, just to say how much you love them? Like Jesus came to show us how much he loved us. And as John was baptizing people in the river, who came along but his cousin Jesus. And Jesus said, No, sorry. John said, I can't baptize you. You are the Lord of Lords. You are the King of Kings. I can't baptize you. But Jesus said yes. He wanted to be baptized. And he walked into the river with John. John poured the water, or put him down under the water. The water went over his head. And when he came out, God sent a dove of peace, and he spoke. And all the world heard him. And he said, this is my son, who I am so pleased with. So John had a really important job to do, preparing the way and telling people about Jesus. His cousin, who was only 6 months younger than him, and both Jesus and John were talked about hundreds of years before they were even born. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, we're still talking about them now, aren't we? And we're still sharing that love of God. Right, with these bright lights shining, I think we should probably finish today with My Lighthouse. Let me find that. And as I say, after I finish, the main service will be happening with our Advent wreath, with our we can't see them anymore, hang on. 1, 2, 3 Advent candles. And next week, on the 4th Sunday of Advent, there won't be a Shipmates, but there will be a nativity service here on YouTube, 10:30. We'll light the 4 candles on our Advent wreath and our Shipmates nativity. Christmas, it's all part of God's plan. We'll be going out live. So make sure you're there, 10:30 next week. Invite all your friends and families, because that's one of the wonderful things, isn't it? There's been a lot of tricky things this year, but there's been some great things too. We can invite aunties and uncles and grandmas and friends who live in Scotland and Wales and across the world to see our St. Simon's Nativity. We can't normally fit that many people in. The church will be open as usual for those people who come, and we'll be sitting at our 2 meters distance, so there will be people in the church too. But as many people as would like to can join us on YouTube. So I hope that you'll invite lots of people to see you in your Shipmates Nativity. Oh, that's the dog wanting to go out. She'll have to wait a few minutes because we are going to sing My Lighthouse. In fact, I'll start the music and I'll go and let the dog out. Can you hear her scratching? She's been ever so good. And now she's being noisy. And I'll be back to join you. Can you do the actions by yourself? I think you should be able to, shouldn't you? Let's get it going. And then scratching. Think about Jesus being the light of the world.
In my wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning, I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my light, my lighthouse, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness. I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, my lighthouse. I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Hey! Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. My lighthouse, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness. I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, my lighthouse. I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore.
Oh, well done, everybody. I caught up with you. I hope I didn't miss too much. Haven't God building the big blue sky, giving the big blue sky again there. And now the dog's barking to come in. Can you hear her? She's a nuisance. Now, I haven't given you something particular to do this afternoon, but maybe you could think about a Christmas angel or any time of year angel. Maybe you could think a bit more about the nativity story. I know some of you are finishing off your clips and putting on some costumes and doing some performing for us. The main service will start in a couple of minutes, so you can watch the Advent wreath being lit, which will be lovely. And I will see you back here at 10:30 on Sunday, the 20th, ready for our nativity service. Until then, take care. God bless. Bye-bye. See you all soon. Now I'm just frozen and not gone.